For years, Filipino food was misunderstood outside our shores. In food capitals like Paris and New York, critics joked about adobo being just home cooking, and lechon, they said, was peasant roast pig. Even some Filipinos grew up believing our cuisine wasn't meant for the world's stage. French chefs dismissed kinilaw as crude ceviche. British writers called sinigang strange soup. And the world's most elite food award, the Michelin Guide, never dared to step into the Philippines. Then, in 2025, the impossible happened. The Michelin Guide, often described as the Olympic gold medal of gastronomy, announced it would finally judge Filipino restaurants. Instantly, global food media exploded. Top critics snickered. Do you really expect us to hand Michelin stars? To Crenderia's, local cynics muttered, let's not get our hopes up. Some international chefs quipped, I hope you like fried fish and vinegar. What the world didn't know was that Filipino chefs quietly, passionately had spent decades mastering tradition, innovating in secret, and holding on to the dream that one day their dishes would be seen. Days before the announcement, there was an anxious energy in the air. In Metro Manila, chefs sharpened their knives, assembled their teams, and prepared recipes passed down by generations. Old ladies at wet markets sat a little taller when they learned their wild mangosteen or native garlic would end up on Michelin plates. Farmers packed up bundles of special rice, bananas, and purple yams, hoping the world might finally taste the difference. The Michelin inspectors arrived anonymously. No one knew who they were. Some say they blended in, eating at roadside barbecues, sampling street taho and halo, while others reserved tables at the swankiest new bistros helmed by balikbayan chefs. But one thing is certain, for weeks, they tasted the very best of Filipino culinary culture. The stories behind those dishes were as powerful as the flavors. In Cebu, a chef slow-roasted lechon in a backyard pit learned from his lolo. In Pampanga, an old recipe for sisig was reimagined as crunchy, spicy, and perfectly balanced, nothing like the pub food Londoners thought they'd invented. In Iloilo, kinilaw was art, the freshest catch cured in local vinegar, with a squeeze of calamansi, a sprinkle of sea salt, and chilies that made Michelin judges sweat and smile. Then came the heart, the family behind the flavors. A female chef in Manila cooked adobo with coconut milk, telling the judges it was the only dish that could calm her son during storms. In Baguio, a baker shared how her mother's pandesal got travelers through war and tragedy. And everywhere, ingredients like yub, pandan, and bagoong turned heads, reminding the world just how rich our islands truly are. The night of the awards, tension electrified the country. For years, our chefs feared too salty, too sweet, too oily, too messy. But that night, everything changed. Michelin announced 9 Filipino restaurants had earned stars, the highest ever for a debut Asian country. Crowning them all, one small Manila bistro won TWO Michelin stars, confirming our place among the planet's best. Tears streamed down chefs' faces. Parents and lolas cheered from tiny homes, and kitchen teams across the archipelago phoned home. We did it. Global media picked up the news. Filipino food arrives. Read headlines from New York, Tokyo, Singapore, and London, Michelin restaurants in Paris launched Filipino weeks, serving sinigang na hipon with French wine and grilled limpo with mustard greens. Reservation lines to the new Michelin-starred curanderias and fine dining restaurants stretched for months. Even international stars like Anthony Bourdain, who once called lechon the best pig ever, would have been proud finally. The world was listening. With every bite, something changed. Foreign judges who once mocked Filipino flavors now praised the punch of our vinegar, the sweetness of our mangoes, the perfect balance in every adobo. International chefs asked to apprentice in Filipino kitchens. Cooking schools reported record enrollments. Street vendors rolled more lumpia. Bakers needed more pan de sal. And kids everywhere began saying, "I want to be a chef when I grow up." And it wasn't just fame for a lucky few. Farmers found their rare cacao, rice, and calamansi featured in gourmet kitchens worldwide. Market vendors saw their humble vegetables go in for record prices. Entire provinces, from Pampanga to Davao, shared in the national pride as food tourism soared. Even Balikbayan kids who once hid their pungent bayon at school found themselves gifting sinigang buwilin cubes and yug jam to friends abroad. In every Filipino home, stories of struggle, migration, and perseverance came alive with each dish. Overseas workers fed their cravings by recreating loin in Dubai or bringing halo to Hong Kong. Families gathered on weekends to try the new adobo, knowing the rest of the world was finally curious about what made their kitchens special. Grandparents felt their traditions respected, children began dreaming bigger dreams, and even restaurants in New York, Paris, and Sydney began offering Pinoy menus. The global reaction was bigger than anyone imagined. Food critics now call lechon the new global standard for roast pork. Time magazine named Filipino Food the Year's must-try cuisine. Airlines advertised stopovers in Manila just for Michelin food tours. Filipino chefs with new stars traveled on TV, explaining Filipino flavors to the world. NGOs supported farming communities, and investors lined up to fund market gardens, cacao plantations, and educational food programs. Yet through it all, the real victory stayed closest to home. In the tiniest kitchen, a Lola wiped tears from her eyes, watching on TV as chefs thanked their mothers and grandmothers, teachers and vendors, fishers and rice growers. On city streets, crowds cheered as Michelin-starred chefs gave free meals to kids, nurses, jeepney drivers, the soul of the Philippines, always at the heart of our food. The true shock was how the world changed its view, but more importantly, how Filipinos changed the way we see ourselves. Once, Filipino food was doubted. Now, it's the flavor of victory. Once, Filipino talent was overlooked. Now, we're leading global tables. Once, our recipes meant survival. Now, they mean celebration and proof that there is no such thing as too simple when food is made with the heart of the Philippines. So the next time someone doubts Filipino cuisine, tell them what happened in 2025. Michelin laughter turned to awe. What they said was impossible is now world history. Mabuhay ang Filipino food proud, resilient, and ready for the world.